Hello, welcome to this lecture. So in the previous lecture, we have discussed about the theoretical aspect of the compression member. Now in this lecture, we are going to solve some examples of the compression member. So we will, in this first example, first we will try to understand how do we determine the compressive strength of the steel column. And in the first example, we will take the single section. So this is the question that we have to solve. So in this, we have to determine the design axial load which the column can carry. And in this case, the column section that we are using is ISMB 400. So ISMB stands for Indian Standard Medium Weight Beam. And this is basically the I section. Sorry. So this is basically the I section. And it says that the height of the column is 3.5 meter. Okay. And then it is also mentioned that it is pin ended. So pin ended, we will see that what is the meaning of pin ended. Also it says assume the following value, which is Fy 250 Newton per mm square, and Fu value is also given here, which is 410 Newton per mm square, and the value of E is also given, which is 2 into 10 raised to power 5 Newton per mm square. So this E value is actually the Young's modulus of elasticity of the column. Basically, we are using steel. So Young's modulus of elasticity of steel is 2 into 10 raised to power 5. So in this case, we are actually required to find out the axial load, design axial load, which generally we represent by PD. And in the previous lecture, I have discussed that this PD can be calculated as the stress into area. Stress into area. Well, this stress, because we are designing, we are required to find out the compressive strength. So this stress will be the compressive stress multiplied by area of cross section of the of this section, which is ISMB. Now, this compressive stress depends on various factors like the slenderness ratio and other parameters also, like the length of member, other properties. So basically in this case, this compressive stress, generally we call it the design compressive stress. Design compressive stress. It also depends on the buckling class. What is the class of this column? Okay, so design compressive stress, generally we call it FCD. So I have explained how do we find out this FCD value in the previous lecture. And this area is the area, this is the area of cross section of the I section. So basically we have to find out this stress, and then we have to multiply this with the cross sectional area of the P of this ISMB. And once we get the value of stress, we will be able to identify the design strength of this column section. So our main focus is to find out this stress value. So this stress value depends on slenderness ratio and buckling class and also other parameters. So we will see that. So now we will start our solution. So in this case, our first step will be determining the property of the steel column. So the steel column that we are using, which is ISMB 400. So we have to find out the property like the dimensions and other parameters. So generally we use this steel table, which is IS 808. So using this steel table, we can find out the property of ISMB 400. So first I will show you that steel table. So this is the steel table. So in this, if we open the beam section, so in this you can see there are some dimensions which are given here, like this D. So as this is the old version of the IS code, IS 808, and in this steel table, it is being mentioned as D. But in the new code that we are using for designing, which is IS 800 2007, in this case, in that case, sometimes we are using H in place of D. So I will show you that. So sometimes we are using H in place of D. Similarly, this is the B, which is the width of flange. So, and also like this small t is basically called the thickness of web, this web. So in the new code, we are taking this as TW. Similarly, this one is the thickness of flange. So here in this table, it is shown as capital T, but in the new code, it is being used as TF. Okay. So all these value we have to remember that we should not get confused with these terms. Okay. So now we have to find out the property of ISMB 400. So there you can see this ISMB 400, and corresponding to this there are various value like the D. So as I said, we are using H in place of D. Similarly B, and in place of T it is TW, and in place of capital T it is TF. Okay. Similarly, other values are also given IXX, IYY. Well, one more thing that we have to remember, in the new code, which is IS 800, it is being used IZZ and IYY. So we should not confused with that also. So I am writing here. So here it is written as IXX, but we are referring this as IZZ. So wherever I use IZZ or Z axis, so this is actually referring X axis. Okay. So in the new code, it is being referred as ZZ, but in the previous code version, some in most of the cases it is used as X axis. Okay. So please don't confused. And IYY, it will be same in the new code also. So now we will go to our slide now. So from the steel table, we can write the properties like the depth of section, which is 400, and flange thickness 16 mm. So all these value we can find out from the steel table. Okay, so this is the cross sectional area of the I section, and this is the flange width. H is the depth. Basically there it was used as D, but here we are using H. Okay. Similarly, this is the thickness of flange, thickness of web. So all these parameters, these value we can find out from the steel table. Also RZZ and RYY. As I said, in the steel table it is given as RX, but we are here using this as RZ. And similarly the RY value, which is radius of gyration. So this is also given in the IS code, which is 28.2 mm. So this is our first step in which we have to find out the properties of steel column using the steel table. Now, in the next step, we have to identify the buckling curve. I mean, we have to identify the class of buckling for our section, as we are using the I section column. So we have to identify what is the class of buckling for this I section using the table 10 of IS code. Okay, so now I will be showing you this table 10 from the IS code. So there you can see this is our IS 800 2007. So in this, if we go to table 10, so here in our question we are using rolled I section. So this first case is belongs to us. So in this case, we have to find out the buckling class actually. So this is the, in the second column, we see the limits. So in the limits, it says that if H by BF is greater than 1.2, and also if the thickness of flange, which is TF, if TF is less than or equals to 40 mm, in that case, the buckling of this column will be about ZZ axis or YY axis. And if it is buckling along the ZZ axis, in that case we will use this buckling class. And if the column is buckling from the Y axis, then we will use buckling class B. Well, what is the meaning of this A and B? Well, actually the value FCD that we are going to find out, this FCD depends on the design curve. So in the previous lecture I have shown you there are basically four curves which are named as A, B, C, D. So which curve this section will belong to, that depends on this limit, and based on this limit we have to identify along which axis this column can fall. So if it is bending along the ZZ axis, then the buckling class will be A. And in that case, we will use curve A to find out the value of FCD. Similarly, if it is bending along the YY axis or buckling along the Y axis, in that case, the buckling class will be B, and we will use second curve to find out the value of FCD. So this is how we identify. So for in this step, we will identify our section. Also, I would like to give you an idea how this buckling can happen. Say, for example, this is a member, like this is the member. So say these are the two axes. Say this is Z axis and this is Y axis. So if this member is buckling like this, which means it is buckling along the Y axis. So there you can see this is the Y axis, and this buckling is actually making a circle which is like this. So you can see it is rotating along this axis, which is Y axis. Similarly, if I take, if this section buckles, one second, I should remove this. So similarly, if this column, this section is buckling along this, so you can see now this circle is circling around the Z axis. So I can say that it is like rotating like this about this Z axis. So this is how we classify whether column is buckling along the Y axis or Z axis. Okay. So in this case, you can see in the I section, there are two axes, Z axis or Y axis. So it says if this condition is there, then column can buckle along the Z axis or Y axis. And if it is buckling along the Z axis, then the class of buckling will be A. If it is buckling along Y axis, then the class of buckling will be B. So this is how we identify. So now I will show you that in the slide. So now you can see first we have to find out the H by B ratio. H is basically the depth of I section and B is the width of flange. So we have already find out this from the steel table. So depth of I section is 400 and width of flange is 140. So once we find out the ratio, it is 2.86. So now this 2.86 is more than 1.2, and also the thickness of flange is 16 mm and it is less than 40 mm. So now again I will show you that table, and in the table you can see again, yes, here this condition is satisfying. H by BF ratio is more than 1.2 and also the thickness of flange is less than 40, which means our class of the column it will buckle along Z axis or Y axis. And if it is buckling along the Z axis, then it will be buckling class A. If it is buckling along the Y axis, then the buckling class will be B, which means we will use B curve. Okay. So now again, so in this case, we can see that we should use buckling curve A about Z axis and buckling curve B about the Y axis. This is how we find the buckling class from the table 10. Now we have to find out the effective length of the column. Like our column can buckle along the Z axis or Y axis. So along both axes, we have to find out effective length. So again, I will show you again from one of the example. Like if this is the column and this is the axis, which is Z, or this is Y axis. So if it is if it is buckling like this, in that case we will find out this effective length, and this effective length will be along the this line. Similarly, if it is buckling along this axis, in that case we will find out the effective length along this one, which is about the Y axis. Okay, so this is how we find out effective length for different axes, like if it is along Y axis or Z axis. So as I have written here, because buckling can occur along z axis or y axis, so therefore we will find out effective length along zz axis and yy axis. Well, effective length depends on the end conditions, how our column is connected. So in the question it is already mentioned that there are pin connection. So what is the meaning of pin connection? For that we have to refer IS code, and again I am showing. So to calculate the value of effective length, we will follow this table 11 from the IS code. And in our question, it is mentioned that it is pin ended, which means the column is hinged from both ends. So there are different cases which are given here, like at the end, translation or rotation. So in case of pin connection, translation is restrained, but rotation can occur. So in the third case, you can see it shows that at the end, the translation is restrained and rotation is free. At the other end, translation is restrained and rotation is free. So this is the case when this is the notation also. In this case, it shows that it is pinned from both ends. So in that case, the effective length will be 1 multiplied by L. This 1 is basically the value of K and L. So KL is basically the effective length. In this case, K coefficient is 1. So in both cases, because our ends are pinned, so in both cases along the z axis and along the y axis, the effective length will be same. So as I have written here, since both ends are pinned or hinged, in this case, the effective length will be KLY equals to KLZ. LZ in means the length of member along the z axis, and LY means length of member along the y axis. So in both cases, the value is 3.5 meter. So this is how we find out the effective length. Now, in the next case, in the next step, we will be required to find out the value of non-dimensional slenderness ratio. Well, we should again understand why are we doing this? Why are we calculating non-dimensional slenderness ratio? Basically, to find out the value of FCD. To find out the value of FCD, we are required to find out the non-dimensional slenderness ratio, which we represent as lambda. So again, I will be showing you this from the IS code, as it says that if we go to this close number, then we can find out the formula to calculate the non-dimensional slenderness ratio. So in this, so there you can see in the IS 800-2007, and I was mentioning about this clause 7.1.2.1. So if we refer to this clause, we can see that to find out the value of FCD, we have to use this formula. This formula we have to find out. So in the formula, Fy value can be calculated, and there are two parameters that we have to find out, which is phi and lambda. Well, lambda here refers to the non-dimensional effective slenderness ratio, and the formula for the same is given here and it is elaborated here. So all the values we have to find out. KL is effective length, R is the radius of gyration, E is the Young's modulus of elasticity. So all these formulas are given in the IS code. So I'm showing you so that you can use them from the IS code. So now again going to the slide. So here, as the buckling can occur along z-axis or y-axis, so we will have to find out this FCD value. This FCD value we will find out along the z-axis and also along the y-axis. So whichever axis gives us least value of FCD will be our design FCD value. Okay. So first we will find out the FCD value along the z-axis. So for FCD value, first we will find out the non-dimensional slenderness ratio and the formula that I have shown you in the IS code. So this is the formula that we will be using. Again, further elaborating it, we will use this. So now in this Fy value is known, KLZ is the effective length along ZZ axis, and RZ is uh, the radius of gyration along Z axis. This again we have find out from the steel table. So all the values are known. So putting all the values in the formula. So RZ is given. So by solving this, we can find out non-dimensional slenderness ratio as 0.2439. Now, next we have to find out the phi value. Why we are calculating phi value? Because we have to find out FCD, and in the formula of FCD we have to use lambda value and phi value. That is why we have to find out this phi value also. And in the phi value, there is again another parameter which is alpha. We also need to find out alpha, and this alpha is called imperfection factor. So this imperfection factor is 0.21 if we refer to the table 7. Okay, so now again I'm showing you the table 7 of IS code. So here this is the table 7, and it shows that imperfection factor which is alpha. Now alpha depends on the buckling class. Well, we are calculating lambda along the ZZ axis, and previously we have found that our column we will use A, curve A for our column will be having buckling class A along the ZZ axis. So in this case, alpha value will be 0.21. Okay, similarly for Y axis, we used buckling class as B, and for buckling class B, the alpha value will be 0.34. Now we will use alpha value for our case, which is A, and that is 0.21. So this is how we find this alpha value, which is 0.21 from the table 7. Now we already calculated alpha, this lambda about ZZ, and alpha we find that. So after putting all the values, we can find out the value of phi, which is 0.534. Now putting the value in the formula of FCD. So this formula we have seen, which is the design compressive stress. So Fy, and this lambda, as we are calculating FCD along the Z axis. So this lambda will be lambda Z that we have just calculated in the previous slide. So putting all the values, we can solve it. So all the values we have put here, and after solving, we find the FCD value as 225.2. So this is the FCD value along the Z axis, which means if the column is buckling along the Z axis, in that case, FCD value will be 225. Now, similarly, our column can buckle along the Y axis also. So along the Y axis also, we will find out the FCD value. So the same process that we have followed to calculate along the Z axis, the same process we will follow along the Y axis. So again, earlier we have used lambda Z. In this case, we will use lambda Y, because now we will calculate lambda along the Y axis. Okay. And further, the same formula we will use, only change is we are using this time effective length along the Y axis, and similarly the radius of gyration along the Y axis. So putting all the values, we can find out the lambda Y as 1.3968. Similarly, we will find out now the phi value. So phi, along the Y axis, buckling class will be B. So along the B, the value of alpha will be 0.34 that we have seen in the table 7 earlier. So there you can see this time we are using alpha as 34, while in the previous case we were using 0.21. So after calculating, the phi value is 1.679. Now again we will calculate FCD as by using this formula, and putting all the values, we will find out FCD as 87.06. Well, till now I have shown you the longer process of calculating FCD by using the formulas. IS code has provided some table, and through those table we can directly find out the value of FCD if we know the effective slenderness ratio. Well, non-dimensional slenderness ratio is different, but effective slenderness ratio is different. Effective slenderness ratio is basically the ratio of effective length of column, sorry, effective length of the column upon radius of gyration, which is R value. Okay, so this is how we can find out the lambda value, and then we can use that table. So I will show you that how we can find out this FCD value directly. So as I have written, alternatively, the value of FCD can be obtained by using table 9B of IS 800-2007. So again, I will show you how this value can be obtained directly from the table. So first I will show you this table 9B, because buckling class is B. So for that we are using table number 9B. So I will show you that again from the IS code. So there you can see this is the table number 9B, and it says that design compressive stress, which is FCD, for column buckling class B. So as we are calculating for y-axis, so along the y-axis our class is B, and for class B, there you can see in the first column it shows KL by R. KL is the effective length, R is the radius of gyration. So effective length upon radius of gyration is lambda, which is effective slenderness ratio. So if we know the value of lambda in this case, and if we know the Fy value we are using 250. So we can directly find out the value of FCD from this table. So first we will find out the KL by R value, and then again we will come to this table, and then we will solve that. So here the lambda y value, because we are calculating this value again, so lambda y value will be KLy by Ry. Please don't confused by this lambda value by the previous value that I have shown in the previous slide, like this one. Please don't confused with this value, because this value is for the non-dimensional slenderness ratio, and the formula for this is Fy by Fc whole under root. But now the lambda y value that I am using, it is actually the effective slenderness ratio, and it is basically the ratio of KL by R. So here we are calculating along the y-axis, so that is why it is KLy upon Ry. Ry is the radius of gyration along the y-axis, and KLy is the effective length along the y-axis. So we already have those value. So 3500 by 28.2. So by solving it, we find out the lambda y as 124.11. So now for this value, we will use table 9B again. Now because we know the value of lambda is 124. So again, I'm showing you the same table of IS code. So here our value of lambda is 124. So there you can see 120 and 130. So 120 and 130, our lambda value lies between 120 and 130, and similarly corresponding to 120, the value of FCD for for 250 value. So this one is the 250. So in this column, the FCD value for 120 lambda is 91, and for 130 it is 81. But we have to find out lambda value for 124.11. So for that we have to do the interpolation. So all these value we can use to interpolate. So now I have done the interpolation on the slide. So I will show you there. So here the interpolation is done, and through the interpolation we can find out the FCD value as 87.3. So now you can see directly from the table the value of FCD along the y-axis is 87, But from the longer method, you can see all the formulas that we have used to calculate the same value. So this is the longer way, but in a shorter way, because IS code has provided the table, we can find out FCD value directly if we are able to find out lambda directly. So I have shown you both of these two methods so that you have a clear idea how do we find out this FCD value. So now you can see FCD along the y-axis is 87, which means maximum stress the column can take along the y-axis is 87, while along the z-axis, this FCD value we have calculated was 225, which means along the z-axis, the column can take up to this much stress. So obviously our column will fail along the y-axis because maximum stress along the y-axis it is taking only the 87. So before the z-axis, column will buckle along the y-axis because the value of FCD is lower than the value of FCD that we have find from for the uh, z-axis. So we will write here for the z-axis FCD value is 225 and for the y-axis it is 87. So lower value will be adopted because column will fail along the axis which has lower FCD value. So that is why I have shown written here column is weak about the y-axis because it about the y-axis it is taking only the 87.3 Newton per. So our adopted value of FCD is 87.06. So now we can find out the design strength because now we know the value of FCD and area of cross section we already know from the steel table. So now using the value cross sectional area of the compression member and FCD value that we have just calculated, and if we multiply this with the 10 raised to power minus 3, then we can directly calculate the strength in kilonewton. So strength of this I section is 683.07. So this I section can take this much load. Okay, so that is the solution for this question. Thank you.